Sorry about that. I just needed a minute. So what basically happened, my younger sister's accident, I got punished, like brutally punished. I got bitten for not taking care of my younger sister. And one of the things, when you're questioned, why did that, how did that happen? And you don't even know how to explain or how to. Because my thing was, she's the one who let go of my hand. As a sister, I was supposed to make sure that she's safe. Yes, I did that. But oh God, social workers were there, police were there. I got questioned and questioned. It wasn't even questions, it was interrogation. I got interrogated how everything transpired. My mom hated me. Like I literally felt it. Like every time she would go to the hospital and come back, she would just give me this look that I was responsible for what happened to my younger sister. And my younger sister got taken away from her. She went to live with her dad. Do you think it was the end? No, it wasn't the end. It wasn't the end. It was just horrific experiences that I had to endure during that time. Um, we like we were always moving. We were always moving from one place to another. I think when she was like tired of certain things or tired of her sisters, then we have to move. Grade three, grade three, I went to live with my dad. Yeah, I had to go live with my dad. And when I was staying at my dad's home with his family, everything was fine from the beginning. I'm getting to know this man. My dad wasn't a person that spoke a lot. So every time when I had conversations with him, it's when he was busy doing polishing his shoes. Yeah, his shoes were shining. Like he had this technique of polishing the shoes, and he would listen to like your Letambuli music, your Hugh Masekela, your um, just a lot of jazz and a lot of some of the political songs because he was part of the PAC party. And we would sit outside and laugh and talk. I remember I asked him, I said, "Why didn't you come fetch me?" And he looked at me, never gave me an answer. He was like, "I always knew you're going to come back." But as a child, you're looking for answers, you're looking for a point of acceptance or a point of identity. I think at that time it was like you want to find out what happened so that you know. I just needed to find out what happened because I wanted to know. Um, and one particular day, everything got disrupted. Another disruption that happened to my mom and my dad was they were fighting outside. While they were fighting, I remember I was standing by the gate and I was looking at these two beautiful people that brought me into this world and they're fighting. I did not know what the fight was about, but I know it had something to do with him, his sisters, whatever it was. I stood there and I was crying and I was crying and they were fighting with my mom. Because my dad is not that person that is like very physical or he doesn't talk too much, he doesn't fight. But his sisters, yeah. One of his sister was part of the fight. And I remember going back into the house and I took out a knife, like a big knife, and I wanted to stab myself. Um, what was going on in my head was I couldn't understand why these two beautiful people that brought me into this world are fighting. And can't I just have a normal life like other children, their mom and their dads? And I just wanted to be gone. I just didn't want to be part of it. I just didn't want to be part of my mom and my dad's life. I just felt like I was the issue. Like everything, I was an issue and I wanted to commit suicide because I didn't want to be part of it anymore. I remember I was almost trying to stab myself, and one of my cousins walked in and says, "Hey," and took the knife, and she was scolding me. She was scolding me, and I cried. I ran. You know, the trauma in this whole thing is that first I was having suicidal thoughts. That's where the root cause of the suicidal thoughts started. Secondly is after that incident everything went horribly wrong, in a sense that now the story got changed to a point that I wanted to stab my aunt. Yeah, I wanted to stab my aunt. How? I didn't understand. So everyone who came at home to visit, our cousins, extended families. So that's the story they were giving. Like, she wanted to stab me. I resented that woman with the core of my being because I was like, I wanted to commit suicide. Nobody cares about how I feel. Nobody cares about my feelings. Nobody cares about what was going on in my head, and nobody cared to ask me what was I doing. But now the story has changed to a point that I wanted to stab her, and now everything is changed to I don't love her. She's taking care of me. I do not appreciate her. And fact of the matter is that I love that woman. I loved her to like she bought me a watch, and she was teaching me how to read the time. She was teaching me a whole lot of things. I remember one of her boyfriends bought me like a book to read, and we were reading every time when he was there. I would read with that man. So I felt safe with her rather than being with my mom. But when that but when that happened, but when that happened, I I almost shrunk. You know when you're like this big personality and then now you you shrink bit by bit to become like this small tiny little thing because of your environment. And I remember telling my mom that I want to come back. I want to come back home. I want to come back and stay with her. I want to leave. And my dad said I mustn't leave. I said, I can't stay here. And I couldn't tell my dad why. And I just forced my mom to come and fetch me. And she came. I knew for a fact that leaving that environment, I'm going to the worst environment and I'll have to see my abuser every single day and I have to forget about it. And that's where I learned how to hide my feelings, how to hide um, all this pain that I'm feeling, and how to coexist with my abuses at an early age. Because when the guy asked me, the therapist asked me, "Khuri, how did you navigate that space?" and make pointing out, you started here. This is how you were learning all these things and you've mastered it. Because when we spoke about my abuse with my ex-husband, was that actually you didn't learn that there. Learned it when you were young. When all these things were happening to you, that's when you mastered to learn with an abuser. That's when you mastered to be okay coexisting with an abuser. That's when you mastered that you're not going to share your feelings because you're trying to protect yourself. That's when you mastered to have like a wall that is big that nobody can break through it. Okay. And when I went back to stay with my mom, I think I was in grade 4. When I was in grade 4, she had another baby and everything was fine. Everything was fine until I had to be the one taking care of that child. And I hated it. I hated it because now I want to go play basketball. I want to go play with my friends. I want to do all these things, but I can't because I need to look after my younger sister. And it's okay. I did that. But the one incident that really made me not want to have children when I grew up was when my younger sister, I think, when I have to change her nappies. But according to me, that wasn't my duty. It was my cousin's duty because they had that conversation with my mom. That was not part of me. But I remember I said I refused to change her nappies. And we were using a pot to boil water. And I remember taking the pot to go pour for myself in the bathroom so that I can bath to go to school. and the water splashed on me and I burnt my left thigh. And when that happened, you expecting people to come and say sorry, um, you're gonna be fine, we're taking you to the clinic, all that sense of love. But no, I was met with neglect. Instead, I was told, yeah, you deserved it because you didn't want to you didn't want to change your younger sister's nappy. Yeah, this is what you get when you don't listen. All of that. I remember I went to school, I was crying. Went to school and the teacher said I must go to the clinic. And I got to the clinic. I was there by myself. They asked me where my mom was. I said she's at work. And I had to learn to take care of my wounds. Okay, my burned wounds. The nurse showed me this is how you're going to do it, this is how you're going to clean it. Because I did tell her, please teach me how to do this because I don't think somebody's going to help me with this. Those are the things that you go through in life that when things happen to you, you learn to survive. You learn to come up with solutions of what's going to happen to you after that, right? That's what I learned. I learned to take care of myself at an early age. And the injustices that would happen. I mean, you know, why should I be the one carrying my younger sister? It's raining. I have to carry her to take her to the daycare or to the lady that's taking care of her. It's raining. We don't have an umbrella. I am putting her on my bag. Those are like minor little things, but those are things that impact you as an individual when you become an adult. Um, I was taking care of my mom and my younger sister when she got sick. I used to go take tablets for her every second week of the month. I had to go to the clinic and get tablets for them because they were sick. And I couldn't understand why am I doing this, but because they are sick, I have to do it. I remember one other time I got bitten because I left my younger sister with my cousin, and my cousin left my younger sister at home alone. Beating of a lifetime. The same beating that reminded me of leaving my younger sister to get knocked by a car, by a taxi. And I said, okay, now I don't have to repeat this again. I need to take her with me. So now I take her with me. I'm going to play basketball with my friends. I have to take my sister, my younger sister, with me. Cool. It's great. I come back with her. Sharp. I felt like my mom never recognized me. I felt like my mom never saw me. I felt like I was so much neglected and never loved, which resulted to me being an adult that is desperate to be loved and to be chosen because in most cases I was never chosen. I was neglected. Hey. Fast forward, my mom gets terribly sick and I find out why she's sick because I overheard her sisters talking about it, that she's gonna die, um, and what's gonna happen to her many kids, a lot of kids, yeah. And yeah, she's just gonna be a burden and all and all. I remember I went to the bedroom and spoke to her and asked her what was wrong. She told me she was sick, she's gonna die, and I must take care of myself. I'm beautiful. I shouldn't self-sacrifice myself for love and that was the conversation. I didn't understand what she was talking about then, but now I do. Guys, I think I was 13. Yeah, I was 13. Yeah, 12, 13 when I was having that conversation with my mom. You know, my dad passed on when I was 11. I remember we went to the funeral. Funeral, yeah. The funeral, we got there. My mom got picked up before the funeral because they said she had to sit on the mattress. She's still married to my dad. Of which I understand why my dad didn't want to divorce my mom for that long, because I got the story later. I'll tell you guys about it. I'm here to tell you everything so that you can learn from my stories and pick up where you can and reevaluate your life and see, okay, maybe some of the things that happened to me happen to you as well, so that you can become a better person and a better mother to your children. Um, the funeral was so cold in a sense that, after burying the person, my dad, we had like, there was like a family car and stuff. I remember we drove back in the back of a van. And I asked my mom, where's the car that we're supposed to be in as a family? And she's like, this is your family. Interesting. Interesting. Very interesting, because ever since that time, I've never seen those people as part of my family. Because there was always this thing that I am not part of that family. And it's like they always want to show that I am not part of that family. Is it because I didn't grow up in that family, or they are out to show me that, listen, we don't see you, we don't recognize you? And it feels like that, even though when they say no, this is not how it is, but it feels like it, and it comes across like that. Sharp. He passed on when I was 11. My mom passed when I was 13. But the incident when my mom passed is that I was home doing my homeworks as per usual on a Sunday. I was just doing my homework. So the door was open to the bedroom. She was laying there. I was sitting the side. And I remember she called me, and then I went to the shed. She needs a cup of water. I went to get a cup of water for her, and I brought it. And then I remember pulling her up and mm, giving her to drink. She drank, and then I put it next to her, and then I was holding her hand, and she was cold. She was cold, and she had no pulse. And yeah, I remember I froze. I froze. I stood there. I didn't know what to do. I didn't know if I should call for help or I should just cry or whatever. And I left the room, or went. I just didn't know what to do. It just, I froze, and my brain was not working, because like my brain is trying to figure out, okay, what do I need to do next? What do I need to do next? And I remember I went to bath, and when I was bathing, two of my cousins came back home, and I started crying in the bathroom. I cried. I think one of them picked it up that something is wrong, and then they start knocking at the door, and then they asked me. I said, my mom. I said, my mom. And I remember I didn't call her my mom. I said PC. So I used to call her Pizza. I said, "Get PC, PC." And then they went to see her. She was gone. Just like that, she was gone. So my therapist asked me, why is it when something tragic happens, I freeze? So when something tragic happens, I freeze. My brain is trying to figure out what to do. For an example, what happened with my ex-husband when I found out there was a woman in the house and it was happening. I froze. I can't act instantly. So it's like I'm trying to figure out what to do. Yeah, the rewiring. Okay. So I froze. Yeah, and that was the end, man. A part of me died on that day with her. And the question was, what is it that I wanted to happen on that day that will make the little girl in me to understand? I think on that day, I actually wanted to be sat down and be loved and appreciated and be told that everything's going to be fine. Because prior to her passing, she had already organized a meeting with the families, with the family members, so that how she's going to separate her kids. I'm going to stay in Pretoria with my younger sister, and then the others are going to remain, and my brothers will always remain with my dad's family. The change that was going to come out of that, it's like, so in my head, and how I started surviving and living my life, was that I just knew whenever something great happens in my life, something bad is going to happen. If something good is happening, something bad is going to happen, okay? And that I need to always protect myself and put on a survival cap all the time, because something bad is going to happen. So I needed to learn that no, Just because something great is happening doesn't mean a bad thing needs to happen. Um, I'll tell you guys more about my teenage life because also that contributed to how I started showing up as an adult and some of the injustices that happened, which led me to be more desperate to be chosen, to be loved. When somebody comes to me and says, I love you, love, yeah, but when they start saying things that I familiarize love with, tend to cling on those people, and even if they don't love me, a sense of safetyness, a sense of home, anything that felt like home and safety, I would cling on it. And it takes work, internal work, everything internally, internal work to identify these things when people are saying certain things to you. Ah, why am I doing this? Why do I feel like this? And what makes me want to do this? Why am I going through this? You know? But other than that, I'll share more about my teenage traumas, which are also hella hectic. But I've grown. I have grown because I can go back and say, oh, wow. Yeah, you're becoming a better person. You're becoming a better mother. You don't have to repeat the same things that happened to you. Um, Life needs to move on. Life is beautiful, and life starts lifing when you identify your own traumas, your flaws, your negative traits. Um, don't throw tantrums. I used to throw a lot of tantrums because I'm unable to express how I'm feeling and express my needs. Um, Now I am able to say, hey, you said this on this day. It didn't sit well with me. What did you mean about that? And then get clarity. And then we're okay. Hey, you said this on this day. It didn't sit well with me. What did you mean? But from where I'm standing right now, grief and loss is a big wound that needs more nurturing, and I am still battling with that, but I know I'll get through it. And yeah, I hope this video helps you identify helps you identify and address your childhood traumas. Um, there's a lot, but the journey of healing it's very personal, and it's not a group work thing. It's very lonely but very profound. And I urge everybody who wants to improve their love, their their self-worth. I don't know. No, I don't think it's self-worth. For the fact that you exist, you're worthy to be here. Existence, you are worthy because Mother Nature would have kicked you out if you're not worth it. There's a role everybody plays in our lives, and to go around and stop bleeding on people. So there's so many things that we are riding away from as adults, but if we can address the core foundations of where are those things coming from, all the fears, all the hurt, all the injustices, all everything that you encounter as a child. But for me, to you guys, take care of yourselves, nurture that little girl, little boy in you, and yeah, until next time, bye.